Welcome to Soul Rising. We're your hosts, Amy and Erin. We're two everyday mediums who are passionate about taking the woo-woo out of spirituality and bringing it down to earth. So put the kettle on, grab a chair, and join us.
Hey everyone.
I don't know what this is, but we are back.
Welcome to episode 23 of Soul Rising. I am Amy, and this is my co-host,
Erin.
Today we're going to talk about something that is also near and dear to my heart. Past lives.
Past lives.
I also wanted to give a shout out because this episode will come out on Easter weekend. So happy Easter, everyone. For those.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Hope the Easter bunny was good to you.
Yeah, eat lots of chocolate. This is your time.
Go to Shoppers or any other place that sells Easter chocolate the day after Easter and treat yourself.
Yes, treat yourself.
Chocolate.
I've nailed a mini egg cookie recipe.
Oh,
you guys want it? I'll give it to you.
Let's share it. The cookie recipe for sure with mini eggs.
It's literally just like the base of a chocolate chip cookie recipe, but I put mini eggs in and it's
You know what's coming to my mind at this moment? It's nothing to do with mini eggs, but I'm reminded of something. A couple weeks ago, one of my past clients, but also, friend, because we talk on IG all the time, she said it was okay to give her a shout out and even to say her name. Her name is Leanne. And she lives in beautiful Spain. And I did a reading for her before. I believe I did a past life reading. So that's interesting because I wasn't even going to talk about anything past life based, but yeah, I did a past life reading for her as well as mediumship. And she messaged me about, I don't know, maybe a week and a half ago. She was catching up on episodes and she was listening to the episode we did the live reading with Melissa.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And she said, "Oh my God, Amy, you just said something and it didn't resonate with Melissa. And I think it's because it's for me, because I've been asking my mom in spirit to say that, show it to me in some way.
Wow.
For months and months and months.
And you said it.
And I said it. And so the word was Smurf. So remember when you're bringing up the bear?
Yeah.
And I was like, is there a Smurf? And I don't know where it came from. So I wasn't like seeing a Smurf. It didn't resonate with Melissa. And so Leanne, her mom called her Smurf.
Oh my gosh. That's huge.
Huge. And
Leanne.
Isn't that amazing? And she was just like flooded with tears because she was listening, going about her business. And then she heard it and she went, oh my God. Right?
Because that's a very specific word, right? It's not like,
it's very specific. And like, she was literally listening to the episode. We talked, she knew me, she had a connection with me. I had connected to her mom in spirit. So, there was some sort of connection.
There was that.
Her mother and I as well. So she felt, literally standing up. So
and that happens with readings, right? It
does. Yeah.
All the time.
Do a live reading and you'll say something. And then
that's beautiful. Oh, I'm so happy, Leanne. I'm so happy for you. That's amazing.
We're so happy for you. But yeah, it was and it was, she was doing something. I think she's pretty open because she was like, yeah, share it, please share it. She was struggling with selling the place that her mother and her lived in together. And she has just made the decision to sell it. And
good for
she also felt like that was her mother's blessing. Yeah.
So goosebumps.
I love it.
Pimples.
I know, me too. I felt compelled to share that, but also interesting because then I remembered, I did a past life reading for her. And it was a really beautiful one. I won't share too much about that, but I felt very connected to it because there's a certain time period of talk before I love his history. And I'm especially interested in almost guided to learn more information about, war time Europe.
Oh yeah.
Nazi Germany, all of those
I
things
remember you talking to me about that too.
very
Like,
interesting to me. And I know it's like, I talked to somebody before and they're like, that's kind of heavy. And I'm like, I know, but I just really want to know their stories and I want to know more about them. And I just want to know.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
one of the things that came up for Leanne was a direct connection to that time period.
Wow. Yeah.
And she had a role to play
Wow.
in that as well. So that was really interesting. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. Like, do you want to share some experiences of yours with past lives, or do you have anything to share?
Yeah, yes. And well, I go back and forth with this because I don't really know what it was, and I don't know if I've shared this before ever. When I think I must have been 14 or 15, like a young teenager.
Yeah.
My there was a TV show, and there was just some not so great things happening on it. Like there was just a little bit of some violence.
Yeah.
And I to a person, and I had like a very strong visceral reaction to it.
Yeah.
Like I needed it. I was like, turn this off. I don't want to watch this. And I'd seen similar like I'd been okay, but for some reason that really bothered me. And I've always sort of wondered, when as I got older, started doing my own research and being a bit more open, right? I always wondered if that was somehow related to a past life or some trauma, speaking of from our previous episode.
Yeah.
So there was that, which I know is a bit heavy. I don't want to give a big description, okay, right, of it.
An example of how it may show up for somebody.
Yeah. So I don't know if other folks have had similar things happen where all of a sudden they just had this very like strong reaction, and yeah, that was something that's happened to me. The other thing, we talked about witchy women last podcast, a little bit lighter, right? But I've always felt very drawn to and connected to witches. And like I think I mentioned previously, my mom could not get me out. Like I wore that witch costume for a few Halloweens until it didn't fit me any longer. And I remember it was like felt, right? Like very 90s. It was an orange skirt. There probably were spiders and stars on it or something, but I loved that costume. And I even pretended a lot. I'm going to put pretend in quotes because who knows? But when I was a kid, I used to play witches at school, and we all had magical powers. Right? I remember I even had a friend come up to me and she was like, my mom says I can't play with you because you're pretending to be a witch.
Oh my goodness.
Like stuff like that, right?
That we talked
There's
about
the witch wound coming up.
Why would somebody say that to a child? Like why is that
which just
thing, right?
Right?
Bothering it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't, who knows? I went to a Catholic school. I think there's a little bit of that with it. Yeah. Not everybody, obviously, but it was just for that person. So there's that. I'm trying to think of other stuff. Those are the two things that kind of really come through pretty strongly. I've always, for some reason, felt like I didn't need to come back to Earth. Like I didn't need to come back to this lifetime, but I chose to.
Okay.
I don't know where that's from, but it's always just been something that has been with me.
Yeah.
And I when I was younger, I had a Reiki session, and she would even say, there might be some stuff from your past coming up, and I felt like I went all the way back in time, and I they fast forwarded a lot of things. It almost felt like I was watching a movie on fast forwarding, flashes of things, coming through, which was really, really, really cool. And she even brought up a few things, and I was like, I didn't even say that to you. So it's interesting that you brought it up as well, because that's what I saw.
Yeah.
So that's been my experience
Incredible. Yeah.
with past lives. Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. I was
Amy,
just
what about you?
so I was just looking at a card deck that I have that's called, I never use it because I've never, no offense, Carolyn Miss, but it's the archetype
Oh,
cards.
okay.
And I was just
Yeah.
seeing if there was one in there, like a witch one. There wasn't, or that kind of vibe. But yeah, so I feel like many viewers will know this, but maybe not. So as well as doing mediumship and intuitive guidance, I also offer past life readings. So I've been doing that for about 2 years now. It is one of the more common services that I have because I don't think it's necessarily something that everybody offers. I don't do past life regression, so that is different than having a past life reading. Past life regression, from my understanding, is something that you kind of have to learn, and you're taking, it's almost like a guided meditation in the sense that you're really taking
I think so. It's
the client somewhere mentally, and then they're telling you what they see, right?
I think there's some hypnosis
Absolutely.
involved, a
So
very
that's
deep
the
meditation.
regression part, which may be something that I'm interested in learning in the future.
That'd be so cool.
That would be really cool. But a past life reading is different in the sense that I am tapping in energetically, just the same as I do mediumship or, a psychic reading, but I'm tapping into you at a past life level. So I always say at a soul level, like who were you before? And the types of things that can come in, I would say there's a common thread. So as with all of my readings, I ask for whatever is in your highest and best good to come through. So the lives that come through, it might be the very last one. It might be one from 500 years ago. I don't know. It's like whatever one has the most maybe similarities or to your current, or maybe there's something there that needs to be healed, right? Like I'm thinking of some past life readings I've done where there has been a witchy woman, or there has been a medium, or somebody, a wizard or something like that. And this is something that they're interested in this lifetime. And it was really encouraged, like, okay, you can be visible, you can be seen, you can do this work. Please do it. So things like that come in as well. There's always a common thread. So like fears will come in. Sometimes people will, I remember once I brought through one where, it was like driving at night in the Australian outback where there was like no light other than the moon and the stars. It was like black, black, black. And there was a car accident, and that this past life would have passed there. And this person is not a driver and has been really nervous to even think about getting their license. And it's probably because it's a past life thing. So, our past lives can come up and show themselves in our lives. I always say it's like a remembering. So like maybe it's those things you're fearful of, right? Or, and it might really come out a lot, especially as children, because it's almost like more of a remembering before you've been kind of conditioned by society. And you just kind of like, I'm thinking about, one of my children is kind of terrified of the bathtub and a little bit like water, and I can't take the tub stopper out while they are in the tub because it's like mass hysteria. Like I'm going to be sucked down the drain. So I don't know what that's about. I don't know if there's some, water fears, or something about being sucked into something, but that, things like that can come up as fears. Sometimes it's things that we're really called to. So we've talked about this before. We've always been called to this kind of work or these kind of things.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the door has been open. Oh, you're not going to walk through yet? Okay. The door is open. Oh, okay. The door is open. I always view it like that. Like the door opens and you walk through it or you don't, but the door is going to keep being open.
It's always there.
It's always there. And, and so it might show up like that. It might show up in something that you are really, like really, really good at. Like some people are just born being amazing pianist.
Yeah.
or they just
Singers or
coming out of the womb singing, like, with
painting
no
or
training, or
yeah.
amazing artists in some way, or just great public speakers, or maybe they're natural mediums, right? And it's like carried over skills
Yes.
that were learned and practiced and nourished for lifetimes before. And so I think it's really cool to have a past life reading and have one of those things come up for yourself, because it's like, you can be good at this, like own it. You have mastered this skill. This is why you are so good at this. So please allow yourself to be good at it and do it.
Yep.
Right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So I think past life readings are really interesting and potentially like very, very, very healing, because they will
Yeah,
also bring up
absolutely.
like things you need to heal too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, and that's, I think it's part of the work that we
Yeah.
do, just in general. I always tell, and I think you tell people very similarly, that it's like, it's not necessarily to give you the answers, but it's more just to give you that awareness, that different perspective, the different outlook. That's really all that it is,
Absolutely. Because you
you
think
know?
like the best leaders guide people how to lead
Hmm.
themselves, right? It's the same thing for healers. You don't want a healer necessarily that gives you 1, 2, 3 steps. You want, it's not that that's a bad thing, but you want somebody really, the most impactful kind of healing you can do is when somebody guides you through it,
Yeah.
and then you do it for yourself, because that's what you're
Yes.
here for. Somebody can't do it for you.
Yeah.
So Erin and I could say, this is coming up for you. Like maybe like last week we talked about the witch wound. Maybe the witch wound will come up in a past life reading. Maybe it manifests in this lifetime with your inability, or you don't feel very comfortable speaking, or, sharing your voice in any way, but you feel this pull, like, but I need to speak. I need somebody to hear my message. And we can't make you do that, but we can
No.
bring it up and say, this is something that is really bubbling up, really urging you to work with, and only you can work with it. And once you work with it, you heal it. I can't heal it for you.
No.
You
No.
have to do it.
Yeah.
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 We can show you where the door is, but you have to take
That's it. I love
step.
the door reference too, because like I said, I feel like the door opens throughout life for different things. For me, it was with mediumship. Door opens, but
Oh,
I had to step through it.
yeah. I think of so many times, just
Yeah.
even I was talking to one of my friends, because of course I'm taking, autism and behavioral science and working with folks on the spectrum. I've had many opportunities, like thinking back in my life. Mom wants me to, babysit her autistic son, or, I think you would do really well with this work. Why don't you do? I feel like I've had many moments like that, and I didn't walk through the door at that time.
Yeah.
Right?
Interesting you say that, because like when I went to university, so I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, but on my kind of like where I was planning to head was also working with people on the spectrum. And I did do some work with people on the spectrum, and now I have a child on the spectrum. So it's going to show itself up to you in some way. Like there's some sort of something you need to do with this. You need to learn this. This is the thing that's going to help you
Yes.
grow and evolve, and with the other people that you're going to touch and reach as well. In my case, my child. So yeah, that's a really good example of that as well. And I wanted to share, like, since I've been like a very young child, like I want to say like earlier than 10, I have felt really strongly guided to Scotland. Now, I've never been there. Like I'm putting it out there to the universe. I am going in the next few years, but I've never been there. And it's not like something that people talk about all the time, like it's not like, I don't know. It's a place, but it's not a place where everybody's like, oh, we must go there. Like I remember when I was a kid, growing up in like small East Coast Canada, everybody was like, oh, it would be so much nicer if we lived in the United States, and then we could go to all these concerts, and it seems like maybe
Yeah. Or, oh, let's live somewhere warm, more
right,
warm.
like it's always like that. And so, I can think about places like that might be kind of like idealized a little bit. Not to say that Scotland is not, but it just was never one of those places that people were like talking about all the time. But I felt super drawn to it, to the point where when I was in my third year of university, I applied to continue education at the University of Glasgow.
What?
And did I not tell you this story before?
No.
Oh, I had been accepted, and I did not go because I met my husband. And it's a running joke. And like, do you know that I could be married
to Scotland.
to Outlander characters and have little babies running around in kilts? I know that's a stereotype. I'm just joking. It's just a running joke about
Sorry.
like in a parallel universe, I made the choice to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just always been that place for me. And then I had a past life reading with another reader before I started doing this work on my own. I want to say like in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I did guided meditations on my own, like on YouTube. Scotland came up.
That's so cool.
So cool. And then, so I've talked a little bit recently about like really digging into my ancestry and doing my ancestry, like my family tree. And so I found a lot of references to Scotland, but then I did my ancestry DNA. And you're looking at 70% Scottish DNA. So I just
mic drop.
And I discovered that all four sides have Scottish roots. Some very, very, very deep. So isn't that interesting?
That is
so I obviously
so cool.
Likely had past lives there, but also it also runs within my DNA. So there's an ancestral remembering of place.
Yeah.
So
yes.
although it's not home, it feels like home.
It feels like home.
And there's also something to be said about bagpipes. I don't know, but so I grew up in Nova Scotia, where you're going to hear bagpipes anyways. Nova Scotia is literally New Scotland, which is an interesting little twist. I will cry. We put on bagpipes, I'm crying. Like I'm bawling. I'm going to sob on the floor in fetal position. There's just something about it. And, I don't know if that's something that stems back to that place when that music touches me. I don't know, but I can watch a video of Scotland like scenery and I am just misty. Like,
wow.
It's like,
wow.
Take me home. Please take me home. Oh, yeah, I would move there in a hot minute. I would be gone. See you. Bye. It's gone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So
who knows?
Who knows, right? Who knows? But I find that really interesting how like things in a past life reading can be verified.
That's like the icing on the cake, right? That is amazing. Not only does it come through in past life readings, but also just to find out in your DNA, right? That there's definitely a call. It's validating. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm thinking back to, I know she won't mind me sharing, well, I won't give her name, but a previous guest on our show. I did a past life reading for her, and actually one of her past life readings is the one that I referenced with the car accident. And she actually was talking to somebody else on Instagram who resides. So this past life, I felt it had happened in Australia.
Right.
She was talking to somebody that lives in Australia and has like, I think their whole life. And she was telling her about her experience with what came through in the past life reading. And she said, I'm like full of goosebumps. I feel like this really happened. And like, I have a remembering of it. So I think they dug up, like, I don't know for sure if they dug up an article or what, but the person she spoke to like, was like, no, I'm really certain that happened. And it was in the news, like, where there was a guy who was kind of driving in the desert, and there was an accident in the middle of nowhere with no lights, no nothing.
No lights, no nothing.
Passed away in an accident and then not been found for a little bit. And there was just so many similarities between that we were
that you had brought up.
That really happened. Like that really happened.
Whoa. Well, isn't it wild? Because you hear about children, right? The children who have had past lives experience, and they come through and they remembered like very vivid details about either the war, the plane number, right? The name of the plane and the number that it went down, their name.
Yep.
And there's I feel like this was in a Netflix show
Yeah.
very
I'm
recently, isn't
thinking about
it?
it and I'm like, we need to like, we reference it like so often. It's called Surviving Death.
Surviving Death.
Yes,
I
we
gotta
reference
watch.
it like every episode.
Is there a season 2? That's
I
what I
don't
have.
think so, but
Dear
there should be.
Netflix.
There should be Netflix.
But isn't that, you think of that all the time, right? Like how there's, I don't know,
There's a whole episode
whole episode dedicated to
on
past
that,
lives.
on children, in like
Mhm.
it's kind of like almost like documentary style of somebody who studies this. Like this is his work. He goes
Yeah.
and travels and he studies these
Studies it.
children, and will show them images of things, like, okay, like 1, 2, 3. Do you
Mhm.
recognize any of these people? And he'd be like, that was my wife, and it's like, and the kid's like 4 and like has, right? It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I think it's phenomenal, and it definitely, I just feel like if anything, it just makes you question
It makes
the
you question
world, the
everything, right?
universe, right? Everything that we know. I love it. I love it.
I love it too. I mean, you watch those things and it like, how can it not be true? Like, obviously, the universe, life is a mystery. And we always say, like, although we get, dip our toe in it when we're doing a reading, we can't live there because we're not in spirit. We won't
Yeah.
know until we're there. Because there needs to be an element of mystery and for us too. We can't know what all of that. But I think it just makes, I don't know, it just makes me excited
Yes.
to like to find that out one day. Like it just makes me excited. So actually I'm much less fearful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's actually a good question. Are you less fearful of death? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
very
I
much
would say
so.
me too.
And
Yeah.
not just because of mediumship. So really that, I think the fear, the lack of fear around death started to kind of diffuse a little bit when my dad passed away and when
Mm-hmm.
I was connecting with it. And I was like,
Mm.
there's still an existence of
Yeah.
us at some level. And
On
so
some level.
it really
Yeah.
isn't goodbye, it's see you later. And I really believe that in my soul.
Absolutely.
And so that has made me much less fearful of me dying, but also others. Obviously we're
Mhm.
humans, so if we lost somebody close to us, it would be devastating. But to
Mhm.
have that sliver of, but I also know I'm allowed to grieve this experience, and I'm going to
Yes.
miss this person because I still miss my dad, and I still get emotional sometimes when I think, no more Christmases, no more
Yeah.
celebrations in that way, in the physical.
Mm-hmm.
I also have this deep soul knowing that I will experience him
Yeah.
again.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
And
I fear death less.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I once heard, I'm going to give her a shout out again because I think she's amazing. Karen A. Dahlman, who is a Ouijaologist
Yes, amazing.
and also a psychotherapist, I think. Yeah, so she also does psychotherapy.
Yeah.
But she described grief as, the grief is that love that you're feeling for that individual, and what a gift to keep and continue to feel that love, because that is love on a whole other level. And I thought that was very powerful, the way that she,
expression of love.
it's an expression of love. It's an extension.
It's like a byproduct of love. Like we grieve because we love. It's also a gift that we loved, like that quote, like it's better to have loved and lost than
never to have loved at all.
So true. So I love that. But so ways in which for our listeners, ways in which you might, first of all, I definitely would recommend, if you're interested in this information and you're not ready to book a reading with somebody, go on YouTube and look up a guided past life meditation. So I need, when any kind of meditation I'm ever doing, I need the guided bit, because my brain is busy and distractible. So I need to give my brain a task by listening
Yes.
to what this person is saying. So, I just make myself comfortable. Maybe I'll lay on the couch or in bed or whatever it is, and just listen to this. Often people will fall asleep. That's okay. Sometimes like what you're experiencing continues or comes up through in a dream. So that's an interesting thing. But I did this, and this is where I connected to lifetimes in Scotland, and a lot of my lifetimes that came through when I kind of experienced them through myself in a past life guided meditation, was around loss and abandonment.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is absolutely a wound that I carry, and something that it shows up a lot in my life. So I absolutely know where that is, but just feeling like I'm being left or abandoned
Yeah.
has showed up in a lot of lifetimes for me.
Yeah.
So that's a really good suggestion if you just kind of want to get your toes wet in a really safe environment, like your home, in
Your own
between,
home, your bed, or
control
wherever.
of, like, if you stop or start or whatever you do. And so that's probably a really good place to go and to do that. And then just moving forward, just like the things, maybe your anxieties or your fears, especially if there's nothing that you can pinpoint in this lifetime. Like, why am I afraid of driving? Like, why? I've never been in an accident. I've never seen, like, nobody I know has been in an accident. So where does this come from?
Yeah.
Those kind of things, or maybe the things you're really drawn to, maybe the things you're like really just naturally good at. If you start to think about those things as remembering, because remember, we talk about this being an intention. Everything about energy is an intention. So I feel like when you set your intention and you have this awareness of, like, okay, I'm going to think about these things as a remembering of sorts of something from before, I feel like that opens the door to experience more remembering.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like you can very much, I want people to feel empowered that you can do that for yourself. You can tap into that yourself. And then, maybe if you want something validated or whatever, you can book a reading with a past life reader. I think that's really, really cool. And it's just a fun topic. So
Yeah.
I did a past life reading for you.
Yeah. Yes, you
And
did.
I think you enjoyed it, but I feel
Yes.
like we talked a little bit about it. Something came through about, like, a name,
Course.
right?
Yeah. Well, it was really cool. It's actually because as you're talking about, fears of cars, and I'm just thinking that when you gave, so I had always thought that my previous past life was in a car accident, because I felt when I did that Reiki session, I got into an accident and I was being rushed into the hospital, and it was at nighttime, and I hit like a lamppost. And so it's interesting in the reading you brought up, though, that it might have been a bike accident.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like,
right?
that you were on a bike.
That I was on a bike at night. And it's interesting because I was just thinking about this now, that I do have a bit of a fear of driving, but I also have a fear of riding my bike.
Like getting hit from behind.
Yeah. So that's really interesting to me, and I've just tied that in now.
Yeah. Yeah, the readings are like the gift that keep on giving. Like, no matter what kind of reading you book, I feel like it's just a gift that keeps on giving, because things are going to be revealed to you over time. You're like,
Oh yeah.
you like years
we've
later.
talked about this before. I've had people I've given readings to a year or two ago, and they're like, I had to reach out to you. It didn't make any sense to me, but guess what? Sorry. All of these things happened that you brought up.
Yeah. And I think that's like spirit sometimes, where it's like, we're going to give you this like little Easter egg, so that in a year's time, when maybe you're not thinking about that reading, or you're not like remembering it all, and then that happens, you can be like, oh, it's almost like a little reminder over and over again. And I feel like those things happen throughout our lives. So,
and it is a gift, right? Because if you're not thinking about it, it's not like you're like, oh, I willed this to happen because I was thinking about it so much, right? Because that's also I think a misconception that some people have, is that if I come to you for a reading and you're going to tell me possible, I always say possible, right? Future events,
manifesting it,
that you're manifesting it.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah, totally. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. So yeah, this has been a fun discussion.
Really, really great chat. Should we pull a card?
Yeah, let's pull a card. And as I pull a card, I just want to, I'm thinking about, because we were talking about childhood, right? And me remembering. And
Oh yeah.
I remember being 5 years old. And I remember having a conversation with somebody like at recess about reincarnation. And this is like not
Whoa.
something that I was taught about. It's not like I watched a movie about it. Like nobody
Yeah.
told me about it. And I don't even know if I didn't call it reincarnation. I didn't have that language. I didn't know that that's what it was called. But I would say, you know, I feel like there's a certain amount. I don't even think I used the word souls, but I'll use it now for lack of for clarity.
Yeah.
You know, there's a certain amount of souls, and we kind of just keep doing it over and over and over again. Like, okay, like you pass and then you come back, and you pass and you come back. And I remember at 5 years old saying that. And
Wow.
and it stands out to me too. So those memories that you have that just really stand out sometimes, that are just kind of random, I do feel like those are messages too. But I think that's an example of me being a child and having that remembering, like, this is what happens. And I know. And then interestingly enough, I don't know if that was before or after I had my near-death experience, but it was right around the same time.
Whoa.
So
Yeah.
I
Well,
was,
remember I had even told you like that when I was really little and angry at my mom, I said, I want to go home.
yes.
I was like, I've had enough of this earth stuff. What's going on? Why am I having emotions?
Yeah.
Right? I think that's what it
wanna get
was.
out of
Like,
here and go back
this
home.
is too much. Yeah. You guys didn't tell me it would be like
This was a choice, and I'm choosing to go home. Done.
Yeah. If I could come here, can I go back? But
Yeah.
anyways, like things like that, right? Where you're like, where does that even come from?
Where does it come from? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Food for thought. I'm trying to let the card fall out, but it won't. So I think I have to pick it. I had it. Here it is.
Ah, you willed it. I'm just joking.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. So we have Gaia, Mother Earth. I'm pulling from I love this deck. It's the Magdalene Oracle cards by Tony Carmine Salerno.
Before you've got all these decks, I haven't. How many decks do you have, Erin?
1, 2, 3. I don't know, probably 15 or 20.
Okay. I think I have like 30-ish.
Yeah.
I'll count and let you guys know, but I think around 30 at this point. Yeah.
Never too much, guys. Never too much.
Yeah.
Okay, so whoops, Gaia. This card says, whether male or female, you are advised to embrace your feminine side. This is interesting because it also sort of ties in to the previous podcast, right, when we were talking about that feminine energy.
Yeah.
This means embracing your intuitive, gentle, and loving nature and applying these qualities to a current troublesome situation. And I also just want to say that I don't feel like this is to say that men cannot be gentle and loving. So just a little sidebar.
We're talking about the divine feminine, which
we're just talking about, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, embracing these nurturing and gentle qualities will help you feel a greater sense of balance, and this will help you overcome your present difficulty. Ask Mother Earth to help ground and strengthen you, and you will feel a renewed sense of vitality. Spend time in nature. So maybe you have been feeling like, I need to get outdoors. I know here in Ontario, the weather is getting nicer. Spring is coming. So it's a perfect time to get outside and get connected with Mother Nature. Says do some gardening, go for a walk in the park, feel your connection to the earth, and remember that both masculine and feminine qualities are complementary parts of every human being. Balance, the true power and wisdom are only possible when you embrace both. And it says, and I love this quote at the bottom. It says, for years I have felt your yearning, forever I have loved you, for Mother Earth.
I love that so much.
So lots of groundedness coming in for us this week.
And so interesting because we've been talking a lot about the divine feminine in this episode, as well as in the last one, episode 22, and, you know, healing the witch wound and the divine feminine. And you just brought up the divine feminine, and this card also has to do with the divine feminine. So obviously the month of April is very much encouraging us to work with that energy. So we've got Hathor. She's 3-3, and it says celebration, rejuvenation, and gratitude. So this episode will air at Easter, so, you know, certainly we'll be in that celebratory mode, perhaps, you know, having our dinner, or, you know, doing an egg hunt, or whatever it is that we do. Like I said, even if you're alone and you just go buy yourself a chocolate bunny, celebrate yourself, get outside. The rejuvenation makes me feel very nature-based as well, or just
absolutely.
the air, I'm starting to feel better.
Yes.
I know for me, like with the sun this week and the nicer temperatures, I have felt more energized and like lighter, kind of.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so gratitude as well. Easter is a great time to practice gratitude. So I'm just going to read this quickly. Hathor is an ancient Egyptian sky goddess who is usually depicted as a woman with the head or the ears of a cow. She is an uplifting and loving mother goddess who is associated with women, women's health, love, fertility, the heart, the planet Venus, music, dance, joy, rebirth, rejuvenation, and feminine expression. She is also the consort of Horus. When Hathor appears, it's time to celebrate life and all of its gifts. So this says, celebrate yourself, acknowledge your successes, and live each day in gratitude for all that you have and all that you are. Embody the energy of Hathor by dancing, playing music, singing, or chanting. Did we not bring up singing? When did we bring it? In the last episode?
No, we did. Just if people who are born naturally good
that's right.
at
prioritizing your joy, looking after your own health and well-being. So connected to the Gaia message, right? And the rejuvenation and getting outside and all that stuff. Opening your heart chakra, planning events and celebrations to bring people together.
It's interesting because Hathor, right? Sky goddess, right? Is that what you said? She's connected to sky. And then we got earth. So we also have that balance, that duality, I feel like, coming in. The mind and the, Yeah.
And I also really want to quickly, because I love this deck so much, I want to share. So in the guidebook, it also breaks down like love and relationships, work, home, money, well-being, and spirituality. So it gives you like a couple different messages. So I think we have time to quickly share them. Love and relationships. So this in that lens of loving relationships, do something to celebrate with your friends, family, and loved ones. Celebrations bring us closer and create so much joy and happiness in our lives. Easter, right? This is our Easter episode. Work, celebrate your success and achievements. Home, play high vibrational music, sing or chant mantras to lift the energy of your home. Put on some feel good music as you're preparing dinner, or as you're getting ready to go to dinner, or as you go for a walk or a run, or whatever you're doing this weekend. Money, spend your money on experiences, celebrations, and creating joyful memories. Go buy the Easter chocolate, discounted chocolate. Spend your money on the joy. Well-being, do it. Express yourself, your emotions, and your gratitude for life through movement. Spirituality, focus on opening, healing, expanding the heart chakra. The more you open your heart, the more able you are to magnetize to you all the good things that are out there with your name on it. This reminds me of somebody just today said, what's your favorite affirmation? And I said, all that I am seeking is seeking me. I'm like magnet for my success. So that's a lovely one. I know I got chills. And Gaia, thank you. Amazing. They're so like
very connected. I love it. I love how this happens every podcast.
Have a beautiful Easter, a beautiful April. I know a lot of people have been talking about the shift in the energy in April, and it feels different. And I wanted to also point out, it's funny because recently I said, I think in a few episodes ago, I was like, it almost feels like the astrological new year. Do you know that it is? It's the lunar new year is what I was reading. April is like, and I was like, oh, okay. It is.
Okay, Amy, slow down.
Like, what am I tapping into? But I just read that the other day and I was like, oh, okay. So cool. There is that kind of new beginning feeling with April, and it's not just because it's spring. It's also, the lunar.
We're shifting into a new year.
Into a new energy.
Which good. We need it.
We need it.
I know that.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode all about lives. If you have any suggestions on topics for future episodes, please reach out and let us know.
Yeah.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and tune in each week as we dish on all things spiritual.
Don't forget to like, comment on what you would like to hear us talk about next, and subscribe.